Hello guys, and I hope you have enough time to watch this weekly update, and all because it will take me long to enumerate, simply to name all the regions of the Russian Federation that are being visited by the Ukrainian drones to demilitarize evil objects there, like military arsenals, military airfields, and various plants and factories that are involved in the production of things for the Russian army. More than 20 Russian regions were visited by the Ukrainian drones, and in the result, today and yesterday, they had to close dozens of Russian airports, including such as Sheremetyevo in Moscow and Pulkovo, and a lot of other in Nizhny Novgorod, in St. Petersburg, in Kaluga, in many other regions located very far away from the front lines, from the border with Ukraine. And I'm sure that, thousands of Russians who had their flights cancelled, who could not leave the airport, who had to spend nights waiting for the delayed flights, had a lot of questions. And maybe they started asking, why did their blitzkrieg fail? And what is wrong with the Russian air defense? One of the main reasons why Russians keep choosing dictators, keep nurturing dictators, is they want control and stability. And just this 1 week demonstrates Putin does not have control at all. He does not control borders, he does not control skies, he does not control air defense, he cannot protect strategic military objects, and I will be happy to introduce you to the most important achievement of the Ukrainian armed forces in the implementation of, you all know, the only working peace plan to defeat and demilitarize Russia. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see the collapse of the Kremlin, subscribe. We will discuss that in detail sometime really soon on the channel. And please share these videos. That's the easiest way to demonstrate your solidarity with Ukraine, but it works really good. So right now, as you watch this video, as I record this video, dozens of Russian airports experience a serious collapse. It's not the first during this month, and it is definitely the demonstration of the failure of the Russian special military operation that now is also conducted on the territory of Russia in dozens and dozens and dozens of their regions, not only those bordering with Ukraine, what is important, but even including the capital or St. Petersburg, hometown of Putin. And also, it is an illustration that Russia can and will be defeated. Anytime they have to close the airports, that is a big problem for Putin, and I actually think he will develop something like a phobia soon, because they have different comments about explosions on their military objects. Sometimes they happen in the peripheral zones. Ukrainian armed forces only target legitimate objects, not civilian areas, and that's why it's pretty easy to hide the truth. But you cannot hide the truth from dozens of thousands of people stuck in this airport, understanding that their flights are cancelled, that they cannot get out of the country because Russian skies are also dangerous, because war is back home to Russia where it belongs. For example, in Sheremetyevo, which is perhaps the main airport in Moscow, they had to cancel today 147 flights, and that's a lot, taking into account that Russia is very isolated. Many good countries who do not support Putin's war crimes against Ukraine and other countries stopped cooperating with Russian airlines, so they don't have a lot of places to fly to. So this means that perhaps almost all of these flights were cancelled, 147, and 47 delayed, and we don't know, for a day, a week, or something like that. And this is just one airport, Sheremetyevo in Moscow, but it was also closed in Kaluga, in Nizhny Novgorod, in another big airport, Pulkovo. And trust me, there are tons of photos of very dissatisfied Russians who sleep on the floor in that airport. an important reminder. That is still a tremendous difference between what we have to go through every night when they target Kyiv, when they target other Ukrainian cities with hundreds of drones and missiles targeting homes, hospitals, and schools. You all see that online, you all know that, but unfortunately, we don't see any reaction, any real reaction coming from the coalition of the willing. I haven't heard about them at all, or the White House. Contrary to how determined China, Iran, North Korea, and now they say Laos in supporting Russia, including real boots on the ground in Europe, North Korean soldiers fighting against us together with Russian soldiers and still failing. But trust me, we do feel a little bit betrayed and there are some things that I cannot explain from this rational, just point of view. Please subscribe if you're new and share these videos to, spread the truth about Ukraine. That is very important. And here comes perhaps my favorite part of this video, because I had to put down the names of all the Russian regions that were visited today by the Ukrainian drones to demilitarize evil objects inside the Russian Federation. And that is a lot. I will literally have to read. So this might be one of the longest Russian geography lessons ever. Thumbs up for that. Because, well, the only way to end this war is to let Russian states their own medicine. Once again, they are safe. We follow the rules of war and we only destroy arsenals, stocks of their missiles, military air bases, so they have less instruments of terror against us. So, the Ukrainian drones today worked in Bryansk, Kaluga, Smolensk, Moskva, Pskov, Ryazan, Tula, Oryol, Kirov, Novgorod, Nizhny Novgorod, Vologda, Tver, Leningrad, and Chuvash and Udmurt republics located very far away from Ukraine. Just imagine that. Did you think something like this was possible when Russia first invaded Ukraine in 2014? Then when they started the full-scale war in 2022. I know that even the best friends of Ukraine I cannot say had doubts we would survive. They were sure we would collapse. But right now, it is Russian economy that is collapsing. Right now, war returned back to dozens and dozens of the Russian regions. Unfortunately, a lot of governments that promised their support, starting from the Budapest Memorandum and finishing with this open attack of the new axis of evil, Russia, Iran, China, North Korea, against the Western values, though I don't like using this term, but that's how our enemies name you and me. And they are so determined to destroy NATO. They are so determined to break friendship between the US and the European Union. And we don't see any real answers coming, and we have to beg for air defense. I'm so happy that Ukrainians to buy air defense, to buy Patriot systems. That's insane. But I'm so happy that despite all of that, we are not losers. I like it when you compliment Ukrainian spirit, and I don't want to sound, harsh, but spirit does not save you from missiles. Air defense does. Iron Dome does. Allies who can stop Russian bombs above Ukraine, close the skies, can save this beautiful Ukrainian spirit. But somehow they think that stopping a missile from targeting an apartment building in Kyiv is an escalation. But you're doing that in Ukraine. Anyway, we need to remain creative and determined. We don't have a choice. And that is why we keep targeting their arsenals, their military airfields with the drones and what it seems to be growing the production of the Ukrainian missiles. And I'm really happy to learn that in Germany, in the United States, in the UK, in Denmark, more and more joint companies appear. And this is both useful for Ukrainians because this brings some investment in really difficult times to my country, but this also provides your countries with the necessary skills and experience that our soldiers got on the battlefields of this real 21st century war. Not something that many were training in NATO countries, somewhere in the mountains, in Asia, with just one village. This is big war with Russia, with China, with drones, with robots, with artificial intelligence, and it seems like on the side of good, on the side of the democratic world, or as they call us, the Western world, we only have Ukraine with this experience. So please remain friends with us. Let's stay united. I know our community on the channel understands that, but please spread this word. Together with the information about the objects that we managed to neutralize just this week to make the Earth a safer place. Subscribe. First of all, a military airbase in Borysoglebsk. It was on fire that was visible from, the skies. And it's not the first detonation that was visible by NASA satellites. In Borysoglebsk, they have huge arsenals of bombs and missiles, and they were neutralized, and they always give very loud explosions. And also Su-35, 34, and every Ukrainian knows they often use them to target our lives. So that is a good object to be destroyed. Another one, very important, was neutralized on the territory of the temporarily occupied Donetsk region in Kharkiv. And it actually made me record the video at night because it was really huge. It was visible from the space. And it is an important reminder that we need to return Crimea. We need to return Donetsk and Luhansk regions back to Ukraine. And if we want to create a buffering zone, let it be in Kursk, in Belgorod, and even deeper up to Moscow. I don't mind. The aggressor has to be punished. And right now, they use every inch of the temporarily occupied territory, first of all, to torture people who did not manage to leave that territories. But also, they use them as platforms to attack more and more of the Ukrainian land. And that is why it's so important to free that from them. This was also a week of good attacks on Russian military bases and air defense systems in Crimea. That is definitely a part of the strategy. And what is interesting, this was a week of deep strikes. Chuvash, Udmurt republics, I have enumerated them when talking about the Russian geography and Ukrainian materials, but an interesting plant was targeted in Cheboksary, and oh my god, that is 1,200 kilometers away. There were targets close to like 1,500 kilometers away, and it's not just important because another evil factory or Russian military production facility is destroyed, but it is also a change in the way Russia saw its security. During the Second World War, for example, a lot of the important production sites and even the government of the Soviet Union were often relocated deep inside Russia, behind the Urals, for example, understanding that these parts of the Russian Federation are unreachable. It's the largest country in the world so far, and it's the country that definitely does not need any new territories. They simply use it. They don't use any resources. Normally, they don't think how to modernize it. That is why its dissolution will be a very natural process. Let me know in the comments below, would you like more videos about this unavoidable dissolution of the Russian Federation that you don't have to fear at all? But anyway, reaching that deep inside the Russian Federation, we demonstrate the Kremlin that with the modern warfare, with drones, with artificial intelligence, I'm sure soon robots will appear on the front lines. Big territories don't save you. And Russia is super vulnerable. Trust me, there are millions of Russians, even those who supported war, right now when it returned back to dozens of their regions. So right now they are asking questions. What is wrong with the Russian air defense? Where is it? And the thing is, Putin did plan a blitzkrieg. His strategy failed. So he decided to reapply another strategy, forgetting about one important fact. Ukrainians are stronger and more determined because we protect our motherland. And when you protect your motherland, when you protect your children, when you protect your history, when you stand on the real, honest side of life, it is easier. Deep down inside, even if it's very difficult, it is easier because you know you're doing the right thing. And I hope that you know that you're doing the right thing when you support Ukraine, when you subscribe and share videos from my channel, and do check a new video on my new channel, Anna Danilchuk, where I try to explain more about the rational mind, not rational, but irrational. Actually, a lot of opportunities to play with this word, but I'm trying to explain the mindset of people of Russia or Muscovy, and why do they keep choosing these dictators? Why is it always Putin or Stalin that they love so much? Why throughout hundreds of the Russian history, they have never experienced at least a year of the democracy. So do check this video and subscribe to Anna Danilchuk channel too. And here I want to thank all my patrons and sponsors and people who buy me coffees for letting me work more, letting me tell you more. And now I have these two channels. Thank you so much. And follow me also on X, Blue Sky, Threads, Discord, and Instagram. All the links in the description of this video, together with the link to our merch shop. And there we have a lot of beautiful products that tell a lot about Ukraine, our history, our cultural heritage, our weapons, and even spider web operation. And they also work well as reminders and conversation starters about Ukraine, and we need that. Thank you once again for being friends of mine, friends of Ukraine. United we stand. Slava Ukraini!